The time has come. The new installment of Last Drops is here. Unfiltered reviews, final opinions, hot takes, or actually not so hot because I dedicate my time, my own money, my energy, and my skin to extensively test out these perfumes. You'll see the usage. You'll see things that go way beyond I sniffed it and here is a review. No. These are well-lived opinions. And a lot of them are going to be not as flattering as brands hope for. I've got so much to show you. Oh my God. We're going to be here for a while. The perfect morning routine. That's how I usually start the day, and I decided this time I have so many insights and so many conclusions and reviews that I dedicated a whole episode on Perfume Nation to it. So if you want to see a detailed logic of what, how, when, why this genre, why this floral or citrus, what are the best form versions of that, you can watch that episode. For the episode of Last Drops, we're gonna drive the conclusion home. I have dedicated myself to scientific experimentation. Look, that many decants, 3 empty bottles, and I'm slowly but surely working through my body products, specifically focused with what works in the morning. One of the empties that is already I'm ready to report on is Floris Zafiro. I specifically bought it because there is a perfume called Zafiro. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And I wanted to give it a go without blind buying a bottle yet again and maybe not liking it. Usually shower gels, it's easier to get through and you still get an impression. At least that's how I sample a lot of expensive perfumes when I don't feel ready to commit to a blind buy. Zafiro I enjoyed. It's this a little disappointing citrus aromatic. And when I say aromatic, you can watch an episode on Perfume Nation on perfume classification. So we talk about these cliche names that mean a lot, but also are not really exact science. So think it sounds like a cologne, a citrusy cologne made for men. That's what I'm trying to say. It's simple, it's pleasant, it's very forgettable. I was so bored with Zafiro that I started mixing in vintage shippers into it. There are some vintage bottles of like Mitsuko, to name one, and some other shippers that I own that are too vintage or too bitter or too patchouli like for me. So I thought, you know what? We take a citrusy aromatic cologne, we bombard it. I literally just would squeeze perfume into the gel and mix it in, and here you have it. A modified, new, brighter, in this case, more substantially, more grounded, more interesting, deep blend. Shippers mix with colognes beautifully. They're relatives, if you think about it. It made it more fun, but it also took it out of this freshness that I was looking for in the morning. So Zafiro, I'm glad I tried it. It's a decent citrusy aromatic, but it's very forgettable, so I don't think I'm gonna be looking into this fragrance anymore. Fun experiment, but no, I don't think I recommend Zafiro, neither as a shower gel nor as a perfume, just because it's a bit banal. It's a bit meh. It's a little bit of a magical accounting, just to showcase you how dedicated I was to the experimentation phase. I used up 100 ml of perfume, and I only counted out of this the milliliters that I used on myself. If I use something as a spray for linens or whatever, I don't count those precious drops. 100 ml. I used up 100 ml of perfume to compose a perfect morning routine. I think it's an accomplishment. All right, we're moving on towards sweetened, more seductive type of floral category. Second time in my life that I'm trying Glam Rose by Rosine. This is a whole brand with a slightly vintagey makeup boudoir packaging. And they have several, I think they have a collection dedicated to ballet, and it's mostly about rose. Note to current and future perfume house makers and dreamers who want to make a perfume house one day. I do not think it's a good salient idea to create a whole business that rotates around one perfume accord. No matter how versatile, like rose or jasmine, or lovely it is on your skin, or how much you're dedicated to it, I don't know, leather scents or something like that, it's just not a viable enough idea for that brand to last longer than a couple of years, in my view. There are only so many twists and marketing ploys you can do around one theme, one note, one accord. It is true that you can make probably tens of thousands of perfumes and they will all be slightly different and interesting, but not within one brand. That's just something that I think kills the whole idea of evolution, of brand value. Every single brand that I've seen that tried to satisfy that very niche DNA constraint failed. So as far as I know, Parfums de Rosine may or may not exist at this point. You can find them on gray markets and secondhand for very affordable prices. And for those who love roses, they might be of interest. So I decided to try the Glam Rose. To me, the Glam Rose essentially, and I think I had 3 different roses by them. It was a very sour, patchouli driven run-of-the-mill rose, and it was uninspired. It was something that we've seen many times before. Think Rose Shipper, very sour, patchouli-esque overall tone and base with a twist of a rose, maybe as a sweetener in it. Rose Shipper is such a common category that I just pulled 2 run-of-the-mill rose scents. All you need here is this attempt at garden rose that has a little bit more of a green, sour aspect to it. To that end, to my nose, a more beautiful, zesty, full of character option is Cardin, Rose de Cardin. It is from a now deceased fashion house of Pierre Cardin. As far as I know, it doesn't exist anymore. They did have a perfume line. It was a long time ago. I think it's from the 80s. You can still find them, so I assume somebody makes them through a license. This is a beautiful vintagey smelling rose shipper. And it's from, it gives you a bit of this nostalgia feel. It's from Cardin's fashion house. And I think it costs not that much. You have to check the gray markets. It's not in official distribution as far as I know. I mean, you get the same idea, much cheaper and from a well-known legacy brand, if you wish. Another version, even simpler, just a rose-centric eau de parfum by Molinard. Jo Malone has that. I think Aqua Allegoria has that. Almost every water line or eau de toilette line, if you wish to call it that, has this garden rose with a tinge of vinegar in it. This is a little bit more green and zesty, less of a shipper, patchouli-esque base there. But you would be hard pressed to find a difference between something like that, like this and that, only if you compare them side by side. Otherwise, they deliver reliably to the same genre, to the same feel and perception. So I see no point, not only of Glam Rose by Rosine, frankly don't quite get the whole brand concept. I'm glad that they got away with it for as long as they did. I'm not against people making money off of the most simplistic ideas. That happens every day and that will happen again. It's just, I don't think there is much to see here. Not only with the Glam Rose as a scent, but with the brand itself. Unfortunately, similar disappointment story is gonna be with the next perfume. This is Ormonde Jayne Tiare. So, called Manoi, Tiare, Frangipani, Plumeria. It's all in that exotic, fruity, floral direction. And this smells like a fruit salad. Unfortunately, a lot of Frangipani-centric scents really fail to deliver on the art aspect of the perfume, and they just sound like a fruit salad. This is no exception. I barely used it up, just trying to get rid of the 2 ml sample. I felt like I wasted my time and my effort and the receptors in my nose trying to find something special in Tiare by Ormonde Jayne. Because if you're looking for an interesting, sunny, fruity, sweet Frangipani, look no further than Serge Lutens' La Dompteuse d'Encagée. It is sweetened gourmand Frangipani scent. If you like sweet scents, gourmand scents by Serge Lutens, you'll love this one. They took a very recognizable, sweet, well-rounded base by Serge Lutens. It's the same base you can find, I think, in Amber Sultan, in Santal Majestique, in Jeu de Peau. The way they compose sweet scents is very similar to my nose. And they add romantic, exotic Frangipani floral component to it. So, the Dompteuse d'Encagée, I hope I'm pronouncing French correctly here, it's a cool packaging. It's a very esteemed niche brand, and it's very friendly, enjoyable, easy to recognize Frangipani scent. So no, Tiare by Ormonde Jayne is not even close. So that story we're gonna end, and yet another Ormonde Jayne scent that I find very uninspiring. Very. I'm less and less inclined to try anything from that brand, to be frank. Sweetened jasmine, but barely, with a little bit of an amber accord in the shadows. Yet another 8 ml used up off, let's say it together, the midnight, after midnight, the Shakespearean midnight garden after midnight jasmine by the different company. I got it blindly, and to save money, I got myself a refill. And who is now regretting this dearly? Because I can't show a beautiful bottle with a purple liquid. This one! The scent is still the same. I love it, and I keep wearing it. I think I'm like nearly half down because I've used it so much. It's such an odd win, because I'm not a big fan of jasmine scents. They're overdone. We've been there so many times, but it's so rare to find delicate and satisfying composition that really changes with the temperature. The after midnight does wonders on the warm skin at night. It's indeed a very much after midnight type of jasmine. On the paper blotter, it doesn't smell the same. On the cold skin, if you live in a cold climate, it doesn't smell the same. It's just this strong typical jasmine scent, maybe a few other floral components, nothing to write home about. It is in the warmth of the southern summer night when this fragrance it becomes magical. It just glows in the dark. Love it. Yet another 8 ml used up proudly. I am not the biggest fan of gourmand lilies. To me, it's an odd category. So, with that disclaimer, List 41 by Labo. This is what? Half of a milliliter? Like, how stingy can you get? Labo is way too precious about their scents. I gotta say, for what they are, they could have been more generous. So Liz 41 is essentially a sweet tuberose scent. It's this not very well identifiable sweet tuberosy floral, potentially with lily facets, but it doesn't smell like lilies to me, and I consider myself a lilies connoisseur. I own a collection, and I made a whole video dedicated to the subject, so nope. It reminds me of a Roja Dove lily that I bought for ridiculous amount of money and stopped wearing after, 10 sprays. Luckily, I managed to resell it to good hands, to a good home. But it's just, that's the sweet tuberose scent is very popular profile. This white floral that is tuberosy. And I don't see why it would cost so much and why would it be called a lily. But it's very common for the Labo. They called their perfume one thing and then it smells like something else, which makes it not more intriguing. It makes it actually very uninspiring. Talking of Roja Dove, this is going to be just a carousel of samples. I've bought, a subscriber sent me a sampler that they were fairly disappointed with for a review, and I must concur. 3 2 ml samples from Roja Dove, very expensive, very ritzy, glitzy perfumery, right? I can't even tell you one thing about them. They were so secondary. They were so like, oh, okay, whatever. And sometimes things are not original but pleasing, like okay, but it's just particularly well done. Like, for example, Chanel Haute Perfumery. Here I said it. It's very derivative, but it's very well done. When it comes to Roja Dove, I have here Creation R. I have here Scandal. I have here 51. I used up total of 6 milliliters. That takes some time. And I don't remember anything about this scent. One was like a typical sour patchouli shipper. Another was some blah, blah, blah powdery floral. The king is naked. The king is naked. And that's all I'm going to say. After the list by Le Labo, I finished a decant that was sent to me by a subscriber, which is Ange de Mon by Givenchy. It's a designer scent, very affordable, was very popular at some point. And I used up, I think there was a 1 ml left. I used it up and I got myself a full sales bottle. Thank you so much for everyone who sends me decants, because this is how we keep the rich and ever exploding reviews and last drops going. And that's how I find a lot of hidden gems, affordable gems that otherwise would be probably easily forgotten in the avalanche of new releases. What is Ange de Mon? For those who don't remember, this is somewhat myrrh balsamic vanilla scent with opening of a lily. Is it a full-on lily scent? No. This is way too abstract, like a good designer scent should be. This is way too abstract and well blended. It's more of a gourmand. This is a very balmy, deep vanilla scent. But the lily gives it a little bit of a thorn. It has a little bit of a thorny appearance because of the lily accord. And I do mix it with fresher lily scents to pull out the lily more and balance it more with the balmy myrrh type of a vanilla. Beautiful gourmand with a lily accent. Enjoyed it. I will probably wear it more, but I would prefer to wear it probably in a colder climate. Balmy myrrh-like scents in the humid heat of Florida tend to collapse, in my opinion. They're not as beautiful as they are in the dry heat or colder weather. So saving it for later. But I did buy myself a full-size bottle. All right, this sweet gourmand floral was a humanitarian aid sent to me by a subscriber who generously pulled out of her heart I think think it's 6 ml decant of MDCI Peche Cardinal. If you have never heard of MDCI, this is Perfumum Roma-esque, very expensive, very luxuriously regal, rich, with diffusion, with longevity, very Italian, vivacious style of blending. Very expensive, prohibitively expensive. And I used up 6 ml because I didn't want it to breathe and evaporate on me. These sweet osmanthusy peach, it has very full-on peach, aromatic and sweet and syrupy, all aspects of peach, with a tinge of tuberose, which I think gives it a little bit more of a backbone, a little bit of a more of a contour. Otherwise it would be just a edible gourmand. Beautiful. After much consideration, though, I don't think I'm going to be buying myself MDCI Peche Cardinal. I just can't fathom the price. It's beautiful peach, but it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? I guess I'm not that in love with peach in perfumery, and it's so commonly used in designer scents that I must say, do you have to? It's just not something that I would pay that much money for, but it's gorgeous. If you are an osmanthus lover, if you love peach, apricot, everything when it comes to this genre of fruity gourmands, MDCI Peche Cardinal is one of the best in the market. It's beautiful. I'm just not that dedicated to it. So what I did instead, as many of us do, I looked up in forums what perfumes are being compared to it, and I got myself Prada. This is Prada Femme Intense. It's a flanker. Prada Femme Intense with a burgundy leathery wrap. Does it has the same sunny, multidimensional sweet peach? Only as an echo. It really is not that fruity. But they do share this osmanthusy peachy sweetness in the heart. They are related, I would say, but they're not clones and they're not that close. That said, this is a beautiful perfume in its own right. And it brings me back to the beautiful times, the bygone era of mid-2010s, when the perfume world was exploding, not only with niche brands, but also the designer fragrances were just one juicier and yummier than another. It was way before the Baccarat Rouge or Mineral Accord technogenic ascension on our noses. This is the old Burberry, this is the old Prada, things that are being slightly reformulated, slightly repackaged in, with a $300 price tag in their boutique collections. It's still available, they still make it to my knowledge, and it's one of those perfectly suitable for office, career climber, osmanthusy peachy scents. It's great. I love it. I think I will try to put it in competition with my another favorite workhorse perfume, which is, and I used up 6 ml, Barénia by Hermès. I've talked about it to death. It was in the best of the best set 10 perfumes, the best perfumes discoveries in the previous year. I did include it in one of the best memories in 2025, the year that has gone. And I think it will continue to be one of the rare examples of a designer perfume release that's available everywhere, that has incredible craft and simplicity. That is not common, and it's very Hermès. A niche perfume quality, very universal blend that's good for time outside. It layers beautifully with more zesty, fresher scents. You can deepen it, you can freshen it, and by itself, it's such a beautiful nude berry shipper. If you can try imagine that into existence, that would be Barénia by Hermès. So 6 ml of Peche Cardinal, 6 ml of Barénia by Hermès. Looking forward to making it compete with Prada Femme Intense, because I think they are on par in terms of the craft. And one delightful, delicious disappointment. Parfums de Marly, Darcy. I have a sampler from Parfums de Marly that I'm slowly working through. I wanted to intentionally be the last perfume reviewer to touch Parfums de Marly, because on one hand side, they've done a remarkable job connecting with the perfume community, marketing, involving the influencers, driving the whole social and marketing aspects of perfume world forward. And for that, they deserve at least some award for the most dedicated community and marketing efforts. But when it comes to their perfume creations, I'm constantly in conflict. The marketing tells us that they spend years and years developing a formula, and they're also carefully crafted, and they're so dedicated to authenticity. And yet every single scent by Parfums de Marly that I try reminds me of something else, and something that was popular. It was made a while before they released a given scent. The same with Darcy. Darcy is delightfully sweet, fruit-chuli scent. But who is the king of fruit-chuli scents that we observed for over, probably 2 decades now? Obviously, Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel and Miss Dior by Dior. Why do we need a clone of Coco Mademoiselle or Miss Dior that is that much more expensive? The answer evades me. Is it a delightfully juicy fruit-chuli perfume? Yes. Yes, it's gorgeous. It has diffusion, it has longevity, it gives you these both syrupy and yet slightly suede aspects of peach skins. It gives you this both delightfully edible gourmandy syrupy, peachy preserves and other fruit preserves feel, plus a bit more. It's like you get that and the suediness of peach skin, the suede aspects on top of those fruits. Great. Darcy is great. It's just not original, and it's more expensive than the original. And when it comes to packaging, I prefer Chanel's packaging to Miss Dior or Parfums de Marly. So if I wanted something like this, I used it up with pleasure. If I wanted something like this, I would buy Coco Mademoiselle again. I've had it. I loved it. It's a designer classic. I will never blame anyone for sticking with Coco Mademoiselle, because this is compliments to the chef. Before we transition to heavy hitters, like the Last Drops tradition requires us to, I want to touch upon aromatics. I'm sure guys have been waiting on the edge of their seat, like, more fougères, more fougères. Here you go. I've put myself through quite a few. And let me tell you, Ganja by Comme des Garçons is something that will get you arrested. This is exactly how oily buds of marijuana smell. This is so to the nose. Exact depiction of oily marijuana buds that I don't think this is safe for work. I don't think it's safe for anywhere these days, especially in many places where marijuana is not legal. That said, if you're into that herbaceous aromatics, because that's what it belongs to as a subgenre, I have never experienced a more believable, deep, potent fragrance dedicated to marijuana. It's just out of this world. I was deeply uncomfortable wearing it, but I did because it's beautiful and it's very believable. A slightly more wearable because it's a smoky tea plus smoke of marijuana is Kilian Smoke for the Soul. Was discontinued and as far as I know is back on the shelves. So that to me is dry, smoky, aromatic, right? So you get this feeling of dry herbs. Is it bitter wormwood? Is it something else? Is it just a general hay, smoking, burning hay sensation? Hard to tell. I really enjoyed Smoke for the Soul. It's impeccably elegant. If you're looking for a smoky perfume that is still has very cerebral, dry hay, aromatic quality, but it's not vetiver. The twist here, the base is the accord of marijuana. Smoke for the Soul by Kilian. Good stuff, good stuff. My favorite marijuana scent is grapefruit plus marijuana, Sweet Leaf by Room 1015. Just top one. Nothing comes even close. But it's very different. It's more of a morning citrusy perfume. As much as I enjoyed it, would I really buy it to put on my shelves in my olfactory library? No. Because why? Because there is one that blows this one out of the water. If we're talking about the most intellectually satisfying, dry, aromatic smoke, go no further. Cartier. Like this is a very beaten up packaging because I took it with me for 3 months on the road. This is Le 13e, which is 13th Hour by Cartier. It's a developed taste for sure. When for the first time I tried Le 13e, to be honest, half of the collection by perfumery collection by Cartier, I was intrigued, surprised, but not in love. This one smelled to me like salami. And when it comes to perception and developing a more nuanced understanding of any genre or accord or concept or class type in fragrances, it takes time. It takes time trying, not only experiencing more perfumes, but experiencing more of the world. Because then your brain learns to distinguish between smoky wood, smoky salami, smoky animalic, smoked grass, or this or that. So this is to me just the most dry, cerebral smoke I've ever experienced in fragrance making. It's absolute paragon. It took me a few years to even develop a nuanced opinion about it, something that I feel that I actually understand the scent now. It doesn't just fall into one roughly shaped perception point and I can't figure out any nuance. It took a while, but Le 13e, if you're looking for a smoky aromatic that is unparalleled, that's it. 13th Hour by Cartier. And when we're talking about almost the classical fougère category, Guerlain Jiqui, that was developed for women, but it has all of the necessary components to be called a classical male fougère: lavender, herbal, dry, grassy, herbaceous, bitter components. I wore maybe 2 ml of it. It's largely evaporated. Unfortunately, I let it sit for too long. Guerlain Jiqui bored me. believe it or not. When it comes to fougères, I prefer fougères that are more green, more deeply into exploring bitter green notes from nature. Almost this like the slush, the puree made of branches and different bitter herbs. And when it comes to lavender, I prefer Highland lavender. And there's no better representation of dry, minty, very high frequency, almost bitterly fresh lavender than Lavandula by Benhaligans. This is a classical fougère, so it's neither or. It doesn't explore either side in any meaningful way. And through so many years of reformulations, to me, this smells flat. It smells like yet another aftershave lotion or aftershave type of eau de cologne. Boring. So Guerlain Jiki, because I was thinking about collecting all the Pokemons, I'm not going to be buying it. It's just I will never wear it. Even though I do love aromatics and I do love lavender. But I'll never wear Jiki by Guerlain. It's just boring. I've been traveling up north for a while before the new year, and I thought I would get way more into the leather perfumes than I actually did. So I only have 2 used up last precious drops to report here. Memo, Irish leather. I keep circling around Memo leathers because their leather collection is famous. It is a cult chapter in niche perfumery. So I keep wanting to find a leather scent from Memo Paris that I will buy full-size bottle of, own and love. So Irish leather was yet another attempt. I've been through Moroccan leather, African leather, French leather. I'm still working on African leather. I'm still forming an opinion. French leather, cute, rosy, leathery scent, nothing special, not worth the price tag in my view. And now Moroccan leather is just horrible. It's really an acquired taste, let's just put it that way. Irish leather was this dull, it's like horse saddle type of leather. It has simultaneously the smells of horse poop, some animalic, dumpy aspects, and well-worn old leather scent. Somewhat moldy even to my nose. I had a hair perfume because I was trying to save money before I commit to a full-size bottle, and I used it up mostly as just trying to understand it. I never quite wore it consciously because I would spray it somewhere, let's say when I was dressing up in the morning, give it a couple of whiffs, decide to use something else for the day, then come to it again, spray a couple of whiffs, go through that experience and like, no. And that's how it went. I used up a whole, how many milliliters is this? Oh my God. It's 80 mil. I used up just trying to understand it, just trying to befriend the Irish leather. Not my type of leather by Memo. It's a disappointment. I think if you're looking for a smoky leather, maybe Cuir by Cartier Barcelona, even that has more character than this. No. Moving on. But the leather that I reliably go to every single time when I don't know what to wear and I want something zesty but leathery but not too leathery, and I just keep circling around, and I always remember that Jill Sander, now deceased collection of their Simply Touch Off leather in this case, which I have probably 2 or 3 backups for, and I'm halfway through this bottle. It's just such a satisfying leathery shipper, and yet it's not bitter, it's not green leather like Rose Coeur by Frederic Malle or Cabochard. It's just very wearable, elegant leather shipper. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. If you can find it, it's worth grabbing yourself a box. I used up 6 ml. And I will keep decanting. This is my dedicated Simply Touch of Leather decant. I just keep filling it up. Oh, the great and the terrorizing Rien by Etat Libre d'Orange. For those of you who've never tried the old Etat Libre d'Orange fragrances, the ones that made them famous, and I have a whole brand review if you want to hear more. Rien, I own probably 3 2 ml travel samples. These particular 2 ml took me 2 years to use up. That is probably the OG technogenic scent that came to the world and claimed the space for chemical factory scents. Rien was intentionally made from perfume ingredients that were considered to be the least popular by group evaluation reviews, and the ones that were considered to be almost like leftovers, like the semi-garbage leftovers in perfume industry. They decided to make a provocative, shocking scent, call it nothing, to make it a joke. You were going to wear something so provocative, loud, and hard to describe, and yet when everybody asks you, what are you wearing? You'll say, nothing. Rien. Well, the joke succeeded. 1/2 spray, third of a spray is gonna fill the room with this cement mixed with sugar and almonds. That's how I perceive it. To me, it's an almondy technogenic perfume. Nothing edible or believable or nice about it. But it has this sweet almond-esque base to my nose. Why do I keep torturing myself with it? I don't know. I want to find a way to wear it. And every time I do, I curse the day I was born. I sprayed it once, a towel in the bathroom with Rien, and then I had to wash it several times to get rid of the scent. This stuff, if you pour a couple of bottles of Rien into the New York sewage, I'm fairly sure you will solve the rat population problem. Just a guess. The terrifying, the mighty, the scandalous Rien. 2 ml done. And I still have more to go. I am coming to a sour realization for my ego that I don't think I can tame it. I don't think I will ever buy myself a bottle. As much as it intrigues me, it's just so hostile. It's such a hostile yet interesting scent. I think this is something Quentin Biche potentially could spin around to make it more wearable, but because Quentin Biche is the king of technogenic screechy stinks that will, make holes in your skull if you overuse his perfumes. Maybe Rien Flanker by Quentin Biche. Anyone? Any takers? That will be the end of the world. That will be the Antichrist. I'm fairly sure. That'll be the end of us. And now to the category that makes everyone very happy. I thought I would use a way more gourmands. Again, I was traveling up north. I wore a lot of gourmands, but I didn't really use them up. So I'm still working on a lot of my gourmands. But a few final reviews are now ready. Cooked, hot off the presses. Arquiste, the Architects Club. A very old decant from Saint-Bird that took me forever to use up. And I'm usually an artist fan. Like, I'll take anything from artist and give it a go. But this vanilla, cinnamon, and some other dessert kitchen spices scent was not that satisfying. That's what you want from gourmands. You want some level of satisfying yet novel, right? Not too much like a vanillin flavoring for fruitcake or something like that. It was not satisfying. This combination of spices kept me somewhat uncomfortable. This burnt vanilla with cinnamon and spices should work, and it didn't. So Architects Club, I will never come back to. I am surprised. I'm very surprised because I'm an artist fan. But apparently maybe not. And what I enjoy way more in comparison when it comes to smoky vanillas, and those are quite popular at the moment, is Vanilla Black Pepper by Boho Boko. A Polish niche brand. As far as I know, they're a truly independent niche brand. They've got a lot of interesting things. I am looking for an opportunity to test more. If you have any decants to share, or if you know anybody from the brand, please give them a little hint that Maria is looking for an introduction. Boho Boko Vanilla Black Pepper is simple, satisfying, well understood, yet not boring combination of powdery pepper accord and quiet, demure, slightly smoky vanilla. It comes the closest, if I had to compare. So I preferred way more as a spicy vanilla, dark vanilla scent to Architects Club, no question. But it also comes closer to By the Fireplace by Replica Exchange, but I like this more. It's just balanced in a more pleasing way to my nose. So, goodbye to Architects Club. I'm going to politely say no. And I'm going to move on and look for more spicy dark vanillas. If you have any recommendations, I'm all ears. I used up a whole bottle, and this is a big one. This is 125 ml of Fifth Avenue Royale. I dare say I made it popular across several continents when it came out, because as much as Elizabeth Arden is known for its easy-to-wear, very budget-friendly perfumes, they also suffer from the same curse of usually being fairly flat. It's not easy to call them deep or nuanced. But Fifth Avenue Royale was a flanker that smelled like those Arabian rose oud spices, raspberry syrup with hookah bar, all mixed it together, and it costed peanuts. It was so similar to way more expensive brands. This is the blend, this is the genre, this deep, spicy, syrupy, rose, raspberry syrup, dried dates, dried fruits, desserts, Arabian Night type of perfumes. This is usually where people are willing to spend a lot of money because you feel what you're paying for, right? That cost me maybe $30. And that delivered on every aspect of that Arabian Night storytelling. That said, I used up probably 20 ml. It was a very wintry perfume for me. And then, just without any of my conscious awareness, perfumes like that started exploding in my collection. And I have, I think, at least 2 more somewhere there hidden. And I realized I have way too many options. So I used up on myself at least 30 ml total. And the rest of it I was using for aromatizing the room, for creating this soft, cozy feel. it worked beautifully. With time, as I said, 125 mil, I realized maybe it's not as nuanced and as beautiful as like other examples in the genre, such as, for example, Fabulous Bukhara by Salvador Dali. It's one of their premium lines, the golden line. Or Bella Rabello, which is very port, sweet red wine with spices by Lilique d'Imaginaire. Even more affordable, Noble Wood and Others by Dupont. And classical Midnight Dark Velvety Rosewood by, there's one by Jo Malone. There is one in nearly every brand, especially the Arabic brands. It's a very popular genre. It's a beautiful genre, but they all blend together, in my view. Unless you compare them side by side, they're all beautiful, sweet, spicy, delicious, satisfying, and similar. So I'm not gonna buy it again, but it was a banger. It was worth every penny. Oh, here's another one, 2 mil, of the same genre that I used at Babylon by Penhaligon's, and pretty much sums it up. Beautiful, spicy, sweet, dried dates, dried fruits, gourmand, with Arabian style blending. The Babylon is a little drier. It's not as syrupy sweet as some of the Arabic versions of that genre are, but it's derivative, so I would not buy Penhaligon's Babylon if you have, like, even if you're looking for dry but date dessert gourmand, I would look at Salvador Dali Fabulous Bukhara. Among all of the ones aforementioned, this one has beautiful packaging, depending where you find it, decent price, and it's a dead-on dupe for many of the genre, including a much more expensive Stéphane Humbert Lucas something Unui in Doha, overnight in Doha. That one, beautiful, spicy dates gourmand. It's a very popular profile. Abu Dhabi by Memo, which is fairly new, is hitting the same notes and the same genre. And among all of them, I think for the price, the packaging, and the quality of the make, Salvador Dali Fabulous Bukhara is probably like the best. Like, it just hits on every dimension. Just to give you 2 examples, I had to just use these ouds for spraying the room, or just kind of, shoes. Usually ouds work really good in shoes because they kind of smell like it. So I maybe used total of 1 mil from these, 5 and 5. Rihanna Velvet Amber Oud, very popular, cheap Arabic scent that's supposed to save you money. Buy it for $30, and here you have it. Arabian Nights. And Vince Camuto Smoked Oud. I don't know what to tell you. I ended up spraying them into my shoes, and it worked really well. My shoes ended up smelling like shoes, plus a bit of this sour fruitiness to them. I find that these cheap ouds smell like worn shoes. There. Very expensive ouds and oud attars tend to smell like shit. And I don't have a developed enough nose to enjoy that yet. So I'm not looking forward to trying that. And the only ouds that I end up enjoying are the ones that are the least like oud. So that tells you everything you need to know. Me and ouds are not getting along. And to my nose, there's few things that are worse than cheap synthetic ouds put in high proportion in any perfume composition. So I would rather not go in that direction. If I have to smell an oud, I'll probably trust with my nose to a high-end boutique line or a high-end niche brand that will have mercy to blend a higher quality oud components, oud genre components, to something that's a little bit more bearable to my unsophisticated nose, but also not burn holes in my nose with cheap components like those very, very affordable ouds are. Honestly, no. Ta-da-da! Our magical accounting of how responsible I am with buying and using up what I have in my perfume collection. Guys, I think we should be proud of this achievement. It's 182 mils. Obviously, the full-size bottles, it took years to use up. And I'm only telling that now, but I think that's pretty incredible. As I said, I'm losing more and more of patience with perfumes that don't perform the way that I like, or accords that don't quite land. I will use up even the most expensive decant to travel or perfume for whatever purpose it needs to serve, including spraying it in shoes if I have to. If I don't enjoy it, the life is too short. My collection is pretty vast, and it got to the point that I would rather enjoy wearing nothing than something that just gives me this ick or like odd, something out of place feeling. I am curious to hear how it's been going on with you. Have you used anything up? Any new exciting decants that you've been working through? Have you got any replacements? Because I have, clearly I showed you, I got a few. Very curious to hear more. I am working on quite a battery of very sexy scents, to use some of them up, to compare them against each other and come up with a final, looking at the last precious drops, coming up with final reviews and deciding what to do with that knowledge and share it with you. So wait for the next episode of Last Drops to see more of exciting, cool, nuanced, beautiful perfumery. I hope you enjoyed. If it was not helpful, maybe it was at least a little bit of entertaining. I prefer to do reviews this way, where you can see that I actually sacrificed my time, my energy, my money, and my skin in order to come up with a detailed and final review. I vote with my own wallet. Therefore, thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to hear about your adventures. And have you been using any perfumery? Has it been collecting dust? Are you heavily bathing in one particular scent, or spreading yourself thin across many genres? Tell me everything. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.